My parents asked me to legally change my name because my career is overshadowing my sister. Hi everyone, today's story might really surprise you. But real quick, if you enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. The channel's been a bit quiet lately, and your support means a lot. I'm Jennifer, 28F, and I'm still processing a conversation I had with my parents last weekend, one that completely caught me off guard. For context, I've been working in marketing for about 6 years. I started at an entry-level role, and gradually worked my way up to a senior position at a respected agency in Chicago. Over the years I've built a solid professional reputation, won a few awards for campaigns I led, and recently started receiving invitations to speak at industry events. My younger sister Emily, 26F, graduated with the same marketing degree from the same university 2 years ago. She's had a harder time finding consistent work, bouncing between temporary jobs and freelance projects. I've tried to support her. I've reviewed her portfolio, introduced her to contacts, and recommended her for openings at my company when possible. Last Sunday, my parents invited me over for dinner. I thought it was just a casual family get-together, but after Emily left early for what she called a friend emergency, my parents sat me down for what they described as an important conversation about the family. My dad began by expressing concern about how discouraged Emily has been with her career. My mom chimed in, saying they were proud of my success but worried that it was impacting Emily's confidence. I expected them to ask me to help mentor her more closely, or assist with job leads, but then they said something I never saw coming. "We think it would be best if you changed your name professionally," my mom said. Emily is trying to establish herself in the same industry, and having a sister with the same last name who's already well known, makes it harder for her to stand out. At first I honestly thought they were joking, but they were completely serious. "It's holding Emily back," my dad added. "When employers search for her name they find you instead, and it sets expectations she's not ready to meet. It's not fair to her." My mom followed up with, "It would be a small sacrifice for you, but it could make a big difference for your sister." I was speechless. They were genuinely asking me to change the name I've built my entire career on, just to make things easier for my sister. When I finally found the words, I told them that their request felt completely unreasonable. I suggested that Emily could use her middle name or a professional pseudonym if she was concerned about name confusion. But my parents dismissed that idea. "Emily shouldn't have to change who she is just because you got there first," they said. The conversation went downhill from there. They accused me of being selfish, and said I was putting myself before family. I tried to explain that changing my professional name could seriously disrupt my career, but they weren't open to hearing it. Eventually my dad said, "This is exactly the problem, you always put yourself first." I left feeling shocked and deeply hurt. I've always had a good relationship with my parents, and done what I could to support Emily, but this request felt so far out of bounds, that it made me question everything. I haven't spoken to Emily about this yet. I don't know if the idea came from her, or just my parents, and I'm not sure how to bring it up without making things worse. I also haven't replied to my parents' texts, asking if I've had time to think it over. Am I being unreasonable, or is their request as unfair as it sounds? How do I handle this without damaging my family relationships, or my professional identity? Update. It's been about 3 weeks since that conversation, and I wanted to share an update. First, thank you to everyone who commented on the original post. Your support helped me realize I wasn't overreacting, and your advice gave me the confidence to look deeper into the situation. After taking a few days to clear my head, I decided to talk to Emily directly. I invited her to lunch at a neutral place, planning to ease into the conversation. Before I could even bring it up, she asked, "Are you still being difficult about the name thing?" That confirmed she was in on it, and apparently my parents had painted me as the one being unreasonable. I calmly explained why changing my name wasn't realistic, and asked her why she thought it was necessary. Her response was, "It's not fair that we have the same name. Every time I apply for a job, people Google me and find you instead. Then they expect me to be at your level." When I suggested she consider using her middle name professionally, she became upset and said, "I shouldn't have to change who I am just because you got lucky in the industry." That echoed my parents almost word for word, which made me wonder who really started this idea. The conversation became tense, and then Emily let something slip that really concerned me. Story to be continued. Update. My sister wasn't just competing, she was stealing my identity. If you've seen my last post, you'll know my parents asked me to change my professional name, because my career was overshadowing my younger sister. Well, things have taken a turn I never expected, and not in a good way. After that bizarre conversation with my parents, something didn't sit right with me. One comment Emily made, "I have the same experience when they see our name," raised immediate red flag. It wasn't just about name confusion anymore. It sounded calculated. So I started looking. I searched for Emily's professional profiles and portfolio online. What I found made me physically sick. Her LinkedIn listed experience nearly identical to mine, with slight changes to company names and dates. Her portfolio included projects I had worked on, same layout, same results, even the same client blurbs, just altered enough to not be an exact copy. Then came the most disturbing part. She had created a professional email address nearly identical to mine. Think J. Smith versus Jennifer's. Worse, on some resumes and email signatures, she had been using my full name, with her contact information. This wasn't just confusion or sibling overlap. She was impersonating me. I spent the next 24 hours gathering evidence, screenshots, dated documents, everything. Then I contacted an attorney who specializes in identity theft and intellectual property. His words, "This is fraud. She's misrepresenting herself as you in a professional setting. That's legally actionable." With his help I took 4 immediate steps. Sent Emily a formal cease and desist letter, making it clear that continuing this would lead to legal consequences. Reported her profiles on LinkedIn and other platforms for impersonation and plagiarism. Warned my professional network about the situation, asking them to confirm any recent contacts supposedly from me. Set up Google alerts for variations of my name to track any new impersonation attempts. Emily didn't take it well. She texted me a barrage of angry messages, accusing me of ruining her career and being jealous. My parents? They left voicemails alternating between guilt-tripping and gaslighting. I tried to stay distant. I needed time to think and protect myself. But the next part shook me more than anything that came before. Update 2. She used my resume to get hired, and got caught on day 1. It's been 2 months, and things only escalated. After the cease and desist, I hoped Emily would stop. I hoped the fear of legal action would be enough. It was. She called me crying, not to apologize but to beg. She had landed a job by interviewing under my credentials and portfolio. Now the company was expecting her to deliver like, well, me. She asked me to ghostwrite her work, or at least coach her through the first few campaigns, so she wouldn't get caught. I said no, firmly. I reminded her she was risking serious legal consequences. She hung up. The next day, I got an email from a creative director at a mid-size agency in our city. He was confused. They'd just hired someone they thought was me, or at least had my experience, and she clearly didn't match the skills on her resume. Turns out, it was Emily. She had passed off a major award-winning campaign I led last year as her own. On her first day they realized she couldn't explain basic parts of the strategy. He wanted to confirm was she involved in that project at all. I explained the situation and thanked him for reaching out. He was professional, understanding, and said he would forward any other examples of my work being misused. I wish this was fiction. I wish this was just a case of sibling rivalry or insecurity. But this is identity theft, and it's impacted both my reputation and my trust in my own family. My parents? Still defending her. She just needs a break. You could afford to help her. No, I have helped her, more than once, and instead of building her own path, she tried to steal mine. Tomorrow, I'm meeting with HR to ensure there's full transparency and to prevent any reputational fallout at my own job. Update, she was pretending to be me, and my parents were helping her. After Emily made that comment about how people see our name and get confused, I couldn't shake the feeling that something deeper was going on. That night, I started digging. I searched for Emily's professional presence online, her LinkedIn portfolio and any job-related content. What I found made my stomach turn. Her LinkedIn profile listed work experience nearly identical to mine, just with slightly altered company names and date. Her portfolio contained projects that were unmistakably mine, designs, strategies, and write-ups I had personally created, with only minor edits to make them appear original. She had even set up a professional email address that was nearly identical to mine. Think first initial, plus name, versus first name, plus initial. Most disturbing of all, she had been signing her emails and resumes using my full name, but with her contact information. This wasn't a misunderstanding, she was deliberately impersonating me. The next day I began documenting everything, screenshots, side-by-side comparisons, archived emails, the whole trail. I then consulted an attorney who specializes in identity theft and professional fraud. He confirmed that Emily's actions qualified as fraud and misrepresentation, and he walked me through my legal options. With his help, I took the following steps. Sent Emily a formal cease and desist letter, warning her of the legal consequences if she continued impersonating me or using my intellectual property. Reported the fraudulent profiles to LinkedIn and other career platforms. Notified my professional network, alerting them that any recent communications or applications using my name should be verified directly with me. Set up Google Alerts for variations of my name to monitor future impersonation. I showed them everything, my original work, and her doctored copies, the emails she signed as me, even job applications where she had claimed my campaigns as her own. Their reaction shocked me. Instead of being appalled, they defended her. She's just trying to get her foot in the door. It's not like she was committing crimes. Can't you share a little of your success with your sister? I reminded them that this was a crime. She was lying to employers, damaging my reputation, and potentially ruining both of our careers. My mom started crying, accusing me of trying to destroy Emily's future, and then it hit me. They knew. Not only were they aware of what she was doing, they were encouraging it. The name change request wasn't about helping her build her own identity. It was about clearing the way for her to keep pretending to be me. I left and took further action. Update 2. The fallout. 2 months have passed, and things escalated, just not in the way I expected. After receiving the cease and desist letter, I hoped Emily would finally understand the seriousness of what she'd done. Instead, she called me, crying, not out of guilt, but because she was in a panic. She had just been offered a job, a real one, based on my stolen portfolio and credentials. Now they were expecting her to deliver on that skill set. She begged me to help her, either by coaching her through her first few projects, or, I still can't believe she said this, by ghostwriting her work until she caught up. I refused. I reminded her of the legal consequences. She hung up on me. A few days later, I received an email from a creative director at a mid-sized agency in the city. He wanted to clear up a bit of confusion. They had hired someone named Emily, who claimed credit for a high-profile campaign I had. When she showed up on day 1, it became obvious she didn't have the skills. He found my name while cross-referencing her claims and realized something was off. This was exactly what I had feared. My name and work were now tied to her failures. I explained the situation, and thankfully he was incredibly understanding. He even offered to forward me any other examples he came across of my work being misused. Update continued. HR, family fallout, and a painful realization. After discovering that Emily had impersonated me to land a job, I immediately met with HR and my direct supervisors at my company. I brought all the documentation I had collected and explained the situation in full detail. Thankfully, they were incredibly supportive. Together we drafted a professional email to share with key industry contacts, alerting them to potential misrepresentation, all without directly naming or shaming my sister. But nothing could prepare me for how my parents react. When the company rescinded Emily's job offer after discovering the deception, my parents called me, furious. "Would it have killed you to just let her have this opportunity?" my mom asked. "You already have a successful career." I tried again to make them understand what Emily had done was fraud. If I had helped her keep the job, I would have been complicit in deceiving her employer. I explained the potential professional and legal consequences for both of us. But they didn't get it. "You've always been selfish," my dad said. "You got all the talent and all the opportunities, and now you won't even share your success with your sister." That comment hit me like a truck. It showed me that they didn't just excuse Emily's actions. They believed she was entitled to take what I had built. In their eyes, I wasn't being wronged. I was hoarding success. They weren't interested in fairness, only in redistributing my achievements to someone they felt deserved them more. After that call, I made a hard decision. I needed space. I told my parents I would be limiting contact until they could respect my professional boundary. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary for my career, my mental health and my future. I also consulted with my attorney again. Given that Emily had secured a job under false pretenses, we now had clear evidence of actual fraud. I was still reluctant to press criminal charges against my own sister, but my attorney recommended a more formal legal warning, one that documented specific instances of misrepresentation and laid out the consequences if it continued. He believed that might be more effective than the initial cease and desist. Around this time, a former classmate of Emily's reached out to me. She'd heard about the situation through mutual contacts and wanted me to know something important. Apparently, Emily had been misrepresenting our relationship for years, telling others that she had taught me everything I knew, or that she was the creative force behind my most successful campaigns. This wasn't a recent act of desperation. It was a long-standing pattern, a slow, deliberate effort to rewrite our professional histories. Emily wasn't just using my identity as a shortcut, she was trying to reposition herself as the more talented sister, who just hadn't been given the same opportunity. With this revelation, I realized I needed to go even further to protect myself. So I took the following steps. Built a personal website that clearly documented my career progression, accomplishments, and original work. Increased my visibility on professional platforms to ensure that anyone searching for my name would find my authentic profile first. Asked trusted colleagues for LinkedIn recommendations that referenced specific projects I had led. Consulted with a reputation management specialist to make sure my real work and identity remained prominent online. The past 2 months have been exhausting and deeply painful. Let me know if you'd like me to continue with the final portion of the update, or craft this into a single, seamless narrative. I had to distance myself from my immediate family while working overtime to protect my professional reputation. The situation forced me to recognize unhealthy family dynamics that I had previously normalized. On a positive note, my company has been incredibly supportive. My boss even offered me the opportunity to lead a high-profile project, which will help further establish my professional identity. I'm grateful for the colleagues and friends who have stood by me during this challenging time. I'm still hoping that Emily will eventually realize the seriousness of her actions and make amends, but I'm no longer putting my career or mental health on hold while waiting for that to happen. I'll update again if there are significant developments. Thank you all for your support during this difficult period. Final update. It's been almost 6 months since my last update, and I'm finally in a place where I feel I can share how things have unfolded. So much has happened that it's hard to know where to begin, but I'll try to cover the most significant developments. After the formal legal warning and the job-related incident, Emily seemed to back off from actively impersonating me. However, she and my parents continued to pressure me to help her, suggesting everything from joint projects where she could learn from me, to introducing her as my partner to industry contacts. Each suggestion blurred professional and ethical boundaries, and I declined them all. About 3 months ago, I received a call from Thomas, an old colleague who now works at a prestigious agency in New York. He told me they had received an application from Emily that raised some red flags. While she wasn't directly claiming my work as her own anymore, she had listed me as a reference and implied we had collaborated closely on major projects. When Thomas called me to verify, I had to explain that we had never worked together professionally. This was a new approach from Emily's side, not outright impersonation, but still misrepresenting our professional relationship in a way that could damage my credibility if I didn't correct it. I realized I needed to address the root issues with Emily directly, without our parents involved. I invited Emily to meet at a coffee shop, and to my surprise, she agreed. I started by asking her honestly why she felt she needed to leverage my reputation instead of building her own. What came out was both illuminating and heartbreaking. "You don't understand what it's like to be your sister," she said. "Mom and Dad have compared me to you my entire life. Every accomplishment I've ever had has been measured against yours. When I chose marketing as my major, they were thrilled because Jennifer is doing so well in that field. They've never seen me as my own person." For the first time, I saw the situation from her perspective. While I didn't condone her actions, I began to understand where she was coming from. I could understand the pressure she felt. Our parents had created a dynamic where she believed the only way to gain their approval was to be as successful as me, or to be me. "I'm sorry they put that pressure on you," I told her, "but impersonating me, or misrepresenting our relationship isn't the answer. It puts both of us at risk professionally." To my shock, She broke down crying and admitted she knew it was wrong. She revealed that our parents had been pushing her to use the family connection since college, suggesting that since we shared the same last name, people would assume we had the same talents and work ethic. What started as vague implications had escalated to outright impersonation. With their encouragement, they kept saying it wasn't really lying, just strategic marketing of myself, she explained. Dad said it happens all the time in business. We talked for hours, and by the end, while we hadn't resolved everything, we had reached a new understanding. Emily agreed to stop misrepresenting our relationship, and to focus on building her own legitimate portfolio. I offered to help her identify her unique strengths and position herself in the industry in a way that didn't involve comparisons to me. The conversation with our parents was much more difficult. Armed with what Emily had told me, I arranged to meet them without Emily present. I laid out clearly how their comparisons and pressure had damaged both of us, pushing Emily toward unethical behavior and putting me in an impossible position. My father dismissed my concerns initially. We just want what's best for both our daughters. Emily needs extra help, and you're in a position to provide it. Encouraging her to commit fraud isn't helping her, I countered. It's setting her up for professional failure and potential legal consequences. My mother tried a different approach. Family should always come first, Jennifer. Your career will always be there, but family is irreplaceable. I agree, family is important, I replied. That's why I'm not pressing charges against Emily for identity theft and fraud, which I would do with anyone else who stole my professional identity. That statement finally seemed to break through. For perhaps the first time, they realized the seriousness of what they had been encouraging. The conversation remained tense, but by the end, I had made my boundaries clear. I would maintain a relationship with them only if they respected my professional boundaries, and stopped pushing me to compromise my career or ethics for Emily's benefit. The aftermath has been a slow, sometimes painful process of redefining our family relationship. My parents have scaled back their pressuring, though they occasionally still make comments about how I could do more to help Emily. I've become better at enforcing my boundaries when this happens. Emily and I have been working on developing a healthier sister relationship. She started therapy to work through her issues with our parents' expectations, and her own professional identity. She's also exploring areas of marketing that differ from my specialization, which has helped her start building her own path professionally. I've continued to thrive. The high-profile project I mentioned in my last update was a major success, further establishing my reputation in the industry. I've been transparent with close colleagues about the impersonation situation, which has helped protect me from any lingering confusion. 6 months ago, I couldn't imagine maintaining relationships with my family while protecting my professional integrity. Now, while things aren't perfect, I can see a path forward. It requires constant boundary enforcement and occasional difficult conversations, but it's better than complete estrangement or professional compromise. The most important lesson I've learned through all of this is that family loyalty shouldn't require sacrificing your integrity or identity. Real family support means encouraging each person to be their best authentic self, not demanding one person diminish themselves so another can shine. Thank you to everyone who has followed this journey and offered advice along the way. Your perspective helped me navigate one of the most challenging situations of my life, while staying true to myself.